go. So we're coming back on this morning for our Tableau tip battle. And really excited to have both Heidi and Annabelle join us. Heidi is, she's definitely been a Tableau developer. She started back in 2017. And once she knew it was the tool for her, she kind of turned this passion into a profession. She started working in the information lab, Deutschland, and she's really brought a lot of enthusiasm to this. I know Heidi very well from pretty much, she's a Tableau Fringe Fest veteran, and we're really excited to have her here. She's the founder, co-leader of Data Plus Women Germany. She does a lot. Her big mission is to promote diversity as well as really just diversity in the data community and inspiring others with a passion for really company-wide analytic culture. Something else too, as Emily mentioned, it is Heidi's birthday, so happy birthday, Heidi! Everybody in the chat, go ahead and wish Heidi a happy birthday. Last point too, and I've been told that Heidi has a very soft spot in her heart and is incredibly passionate about alpacas. And I've seen so many pictures of Heidi and her alpacas. it always brings a smile to my face. Joining her is Annabelle. And Annabelle is, she leads a Tableau Center of Enablement at a Swiss bank. She also leads the Data Plus Women Zurich and Latam, those initiatives. Her major passions, as you can see here, is Tableau, her dog, and chocolate. She's located in Switzerland. And she also leads the Data Plus Women Zurich, and well, I just mentioned that. But she's also really passionate about animal causes, as well as eating croissants. So I'm going to turn this over to both Heidi and Annabelle. Ladies, welcome and happy birthday, Heidi.
Thank you so much, Cesar, and thank you everyone in the chat. It's been exploding, so all that love is much appreciated. I wouldn't spend my birthday anywhere other than in the Tableau community, so I'm right where I want to be. Today is not really a battle. I mean, it's a battle in name, but we all know Annabelle would have to let me win because it's my birthday, and also Annabelle would win like the popular vote because she has the cuter dog, obviously. So I'm just trying to somehow compete by adding in an alpaca picture here, which belongs to this Sydney Tableau user group leader, Chris McClellan. So yes, I'm an analytics evangelist. I work at the information lab here in Germany. I'm very passionate about visual analytics, about my ukulele. So if you watch Twitter, you will find many ukulele songs from me there, partly about Tableau. And I love alpacas. I'm really crazy about them. I'm stationed here in Lübeck, Germany. And as Cesar already mentioned, I do lead Data Plus Women Germany. If you want any updates, register there. You have the QR code below. And I'm also a newly minted Tableau ambassador, and I'm Tableau Desktop certified professional.
I told you, Heidi, that I will mess up with either with sharing my screen or the slides. That's me. Hello, everyone. Annabelle Rincon. I have the chance to be also a Tableau ambassador as Heidi, and I'm also a certified professional. They already told everything. I love dogs and chocolates. And yes, I will win the popular vote. And good try, Heidi, to make, oh, it's my birthday, let me win. Let's see, it's a good try. We're having a Data Plus Women event tonight. It's so sad that it's on the same date as the TFF. So you will have to choose, but okay, I just put the QR code if you would like to join. So let's get started. On the next 10 minutes, I will show you the maximum of tips that I can. And after it will be Heidi. And go back to me, where I will mess up with the slide again. So I just remove the picture, otherwise I don't see my Tableau, which is sad. So here, the first data set, first I just wanted to mention that some of the visualization on the data set is coming from like How Dense Is Your Data? It was a talk done by Jad Levan. It's one of my favorite speakers at TC, so I highly recommend to see here. So here we have a data set about the marathoner, so all the participants of the London Marathon in 2018. And you have a lot of data about that. You have the finish time, the half time, obviously the runner number, the name, the gender, the age, and so on and so forth. And here on this view, you have a lot of dots. Each dot, as you see on the detail, is the full name. So here you see that, for instance, Noel have done the marathon, which is pretty awesome, in 3 hours. And in the title, I said that there is like 40,000 finisher. You may not believe me. How we can test that? First, you can select all your mark, and on the tooltip, the number of mark appear that there is 40,000 participants. Dot. You have also the possibility to see this kind of information here on the bottom left corner, 40,000 marks. Or you can also click here and ask for the summary. And it's also here the number of counts. By the way, you can also customize this summary, putting as many as information that you would like. So when you have this dense data, how you can visualize it? The first step is you can play with the opacity. So you can go to the opacity and reduce this to the minimum. So you say already that it seems to be very dense, between 2 hours 40 and maybe 7 hours. And very obviously, very few people that are capable of running very fast a marathon, and very few people are on the finish line. I mean, by the way, I will certainly not be able to finish a marathon, so I'm not mocking anyone here. I think that these are real stars. So when you have, like, you can play with the opacity, like I said, when you have dense data, but you can also try to add a jitter. So how you can do that with Tableau, you can use the random function, and that will randomize all your points. So here on the y-axis, and here you already be able to see, okay, yes, my points are very dense, between 2 hours 30 and 5 hours 30. You see, here you can already reduce it. So one good advice that I have is that when you are like playing with Tableau with dense data, you should add field that can make the difference, that can bring in information behind. So here it's exactly the same view than before. I just increase the size a little. So for instance, if I add the age group already on rows, and I can add it again in color, for instance, I already see that within my age group, I don't have the same distribution. And by the way, it's the first, so we have David Winch that done the marathon. He's more than 70 years old, and he's done the marathon in 3 hours 22. It's pretty awesome. And you can see that, okay, there is like quite some people that done the marathon that quite old, but the distribution, the length of the time between the first runner and the last runner is like very diverse between the age group. So that surprised me. Okay, you can obviously see that in 2018 dot something, the version use the density mark, which is quite cool. And it's more or less do the one that you are doing with the opacity. Usually I prefer one of these two colors, either this density gold dark or this density blue dark. And you just have to play with the intensity and a little with the opacity to see where you have like your concentration. I still be an analyst, so I still need like to do like a Pareto or distribution. So you can use the bin by right-clicking on the measure and ask Tableau to create a bin, or you can create it yourself. Here, that's what I've done. So I have created a bin of finish time. So I take the finish time in second, I divide by 60, I take the integer of that, and I remultiply by 60. That's where I can create bins of people running on the same minute. So when I taking this, so into column, and I take my runner. By the way, here I am like the 2020.3 version of Tableau, and I have a new icon here. So I can say, hey, I want that you filter by dimension, for instance. So I'm sure that I am taking the correct one. So if I click on option and I drag and drop onto rows, because I have a Mac, otherwise on a PC you don't do the same thing, I can change my aggregation very quickly. And I have my runners. So I can change the mark. So here, for instance, I have 262 runners that run under 16,000 seconds. 16,000 seconds is more or less 4 hours 50. Yeah. So you see that you see here better where is your distribution, obviously. But still, if I want to do like a Pareto kind of, how I can do that? I click on command, I duplicate. I can change bar to lines, and either I can create a quick table calculation. Here I will click on table calculation because I would like to add two. First, I want to say my running total, and after I can add a second secondary calculation and put the percentage of total. Right click, dual axis, and here you see Tableau put my measure name into two different colors. If I would not like that, I can change it directly from this menu onto a blue. So here, for instance, I have, if I go back to the 16,000 seconds, so far 1.5, I can see that I have 47% of my runners that run under this 4 hour 50, which is quite cool. What I can do, it's like show drop line, by right click, show drop line. And when I have that, I can go back again, edit drop line. And here you have the full menu where you can say that, no, I just want the x-axis or y-axis or both of them. I recommend you to do a drop only when selected, because if you have a lot of marks, like it's in the case here, you will not have, it will not be readable. And here I can ask for an automatic layout. That way, when I click, it's written on my viz. And you can, of course, update that. So the last one, it's like about how to create a magnifier view. So on this viz, I will have put the Fahrenheit time in seconds, the half time in second. I know there is both the same field, you will see why, and the age group in color. Here I make a mistake. I did not want the finish time. I want the half time. What I did here is I just double click, sorry, my English. I just double click on my viz and I change directly the name of the field here. If I would have drag and drop, sometimes you miss your design. So that I don't want that. So here I have all my runners and I know where is their age group, when they arrive, when they finish. But what I want is when I hover over that, I want to be able to see how many runners run under the same minutes, finish time and half time. How to do that? First, I right click, I duplicate. So here I already do it. You will know why, because I advise you when you just do that, don't do that. Don't keep this worksheet like this. Please rename it. It's very useful when you rename it because it's easier to find when you create this in tooltip calculation or when you create an action. It's easier to find. So here, what I would like to do is like create like a kind of window. That's why I already had two reference line, and I will add two additional. So I click here, reference line, table. So you see here, I have selected the half time and the finish time. If I go only here, I have only one. So no, I want both of them. And I want the minimum. Since 2020, maybe, if I don't, 2022, I don't remember, you have the possibility to customize the tooltip of your reference line. That was a huge stuff. I really like it. Here, it will be a vision tooltip. I will not do it, but I advise you to every time take care of this tooltip and also this show recollected line. It's very useful. And depending on your case, you have to enable it or not. So here I do that. I do exactly the same for this one. I take the minimum. And by the way, I could have changed the formatting here directly of my lines. I will not do it individually. What I would like to do, it's like right click, format, and do it directly from the view and say, I want a violet. And I take care of all of them. So I will also do some formatting, remove the grid line, and remove the show headers. You see here this little window that indicates me that I have 64 nulls. Either I right click and hide the indicator, or I can filter out depending of your case. So here now, what I just have to say is like, I just have to put my magnifier vision tooltip here and say Tableau. So here, now that it's classified with the same name, it's easier to find, and say Tableau that I need to perform the filter by 2 bins, by my min in half time, commas, because I need 2 filters, and my bin half time. When I do that, I already have the dot of the one that I selected plus the other one. So very quickly, I put the full name into label. Now it's even better. And what you can do, it's also create a magnifier title, say very easy. There is like 40,000 runners, blah, blah, blah. And you put the sum number of records. And now when I go back here, I just have, you have 2 options. I can Control C, Control V. I said it in French, sorry. I just can say like this, title, and it should work if I write it correctly, you see. And when I will hit OK, now I even have the number of runners exactly on the dot. Heidi, it's your turn.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's quite a bit to live up to. If I want to beat that magnifier tooltip, I have to start unconventionally. So I'm gonna, let me share my screen. I'm gonna start in Excel, because most Tableau journeys do start in Excel, right? And what I want to do is I want to copy this data source to Tableau, because I don't necessarily want to save this. I'm never gonna change it at any point. This is just something I need quick and dirty. So I can simply highlight everything here, hit Control C, go back to Tableau, go to any worksheet, really any worksheet, and hit Control V, so paste this in here, and Tableau will automatically copy that in any second now. There we go. And you can do this with any size of data source, so you can do this with huge ones. Just note that it is in the temporary space. God, yeah, English, wow, 2 non-native speakers. So this is not, you can't change it later. And you can see Tableau copied this in, and I have all these fields and I can reuse them in other worksheets. You can also do this from a text editor. And in my case, I really need just a tiny helper data source with just one column, 1 row. That's really everything I need. Control A, Control C, go back to Tableau, Control V. And there I have my helper data source. And you can see this data source name is really not super helpful unless you know in which second you copied that in here. So make sure to rename, and this is my helper in this case. Now, sometimes you have a bar chart and you want to, let's get rid of these. You want to label on top. So you want the name of your measure at the top of the bars. And you do have a number of options how you can do that. So this is 5 tips for the same use case. For example, you can simply double click in the columns and put this in quotation mark. In this case, it's number of participants. Simply bring this in here. And now I have that up here, and I can right click and hide field labels. So that's number 1. The thing is, if you have a huge data source, this will get written into every single row of your data. So it doesn't necessarily improve your performance. So what else you could do? You can't use it from this data source. Instead, you go to a helper data source that we accidentally just prepared and bring this in using blending. And now I simply blend this 1 row that I have and have that in here as well. Another option that you can do is you can duplicate your axis, hitting Control and then dragging it to the right of it on a Windows computer. And then, come on, right click, make this a dual axis. Again, right click and synchronize. Never forget to synchronize if you have the same field here. And now I have a number of options. What I could try is I want to get rid of this bottom axis, but if I just right click and unshow the header, then the upper one vanishes as well. Because the bottom axis is my primary axis, the top one is my secondary axis, and I can't have a secondary axis without the primary. I could also try to make this simply slimmer, but the thing is Tableau treats them the same way, so both of them would become slimmer. I could also try to right-click format and make the text white, but since it's the same field, both of them would be white. So what can I do after I showed you the many ways that you cannot do? Well, you can double-click on this one because you can edit them separately. And we simply get rid of the title in the primary axis, and then double-click on the top axis, go to tick marks and get rid of the tick marks. So now I have the title on top, the marks at the bottom, and I can now make this a little slimmer, which works for both of them at the same time. And there we go. So that was the third way. A fourth way, if we have only the one measure, you can simply go to measure names and drag these into columns, and then you have your measure names on top, the one that you have. Or if you happen to have any kind of parameter, you can simply use that one. And in my case, again, it should be number of participants. Let's find my parameter and drag this to columns. And that is the fifth way of labeling your column on top. Now, we're still using the marathon data set. I've never finished a marathon in my life, so I'm not even going to go there. And here we have, what did Annabelle say, 40,226 runners who actually finished. And I have them ranked by their finish time, and we can see I have labeled the rank. And if I want to, I've colored them by gender estimate. And if I want to find the best female participant, I will have to scroll quite a bit. Was it here? Yes. And here we have Alexis. She finished in place 209. And now I want to know where did the female participants finish. But if I right click and keep only on the female participants, Tableau recalculates the rank. And now Alexis would be in first place, when we know that in the general ranking, she was in place 209. So that happens because Tableau filters on the dimension first and then calculates the table calculation. So if I want to filter but still retain my rank, which is a table calculation, I have to filter using a table calculation as well. So I get rid of the filter here for a second. We will create a calculated field. And this will be gender without losing rank. And in here, I will use a table calculation, which is lookup. So that lets me look into other rows or into other columns, depending on my viz setup. And I want to know the gender estimate. And I want to offset by 0 because I just want to know the same of my row. Now, Tableau lets me know this contains errors because a table calculation always needs an aggregate in here. And I mean, the minimum of one row is still the content of that one row. And I can use this to drag to filter and only use female. And now we can see we do have Alexis on top and she's in place 209. If I have stacked bar charts and I want to label the total at the end of the bar, I can go the long way around and duplicate my axis, hit Control and drag it to the right of it, then get rid of this, any kind of detail you have in here, and then label, and then make this a dual axis, synchronize, move to the back, etc. And that's just 2 steps too many for me. So if I want to do this in just one very simple step, I right click here, add a reference line, make this per cell, make this the total, and label using the value. In my case, I don't want a tooltip. So that's what Annabelle just showed. You can choose the tooltip. And I don't want a line either. So you can see I already have my values in here. Now, of course, this looks kind of, well, I want to say stupid, but let's just say it doesn't fit into the general design of this. So let's format here. And I can change the alignment, make this right aligned and then vertically in the center. And also make this really big and bold and black. And there we go. Now I have easily labeled the end of my bars without using a secondary axis. If you're in a dashboard, and for example, I now want to change the tooltips here, I could either click on the sheet, go back to the sheet, go to the tooltip, or I could use it right from the dashboard. Click on the sheet, go to worksheet and tooltip. And sometimes it would be really nice to have a couple of shortcuts. So simply key combinations that you can use to get there. And we do have them. So you can see at the top here, some of these are underscored. So for example, worksheet, the W is underscored, for dashboard, the B is underscored. And please note this changes from language to language. So in German, it would be different letters in here. And if I hit my Alt key and then hit the letter that is underscored, so I want to go to worksheet, hit Alt key, hit W, and then I want to go to tooltip. So again, underscored characters here, I'll have the O. I can press O again while keeping the Alt key pressed, and I'm in here. And if I do this fast, so Alt W O, I'm in my tooltip editing window. And so you can find a gazillion different shortcuts that you can take. One second to last tip for this first round. I do have a lollipop chart here, and usually you need two axes for the lollipop chart, one for the stick and one for the sugary bubble on top, whatever you call that. But what if I actually need the secondary axis for something else? Is there any way to create a lollipop chart with just one row, with just one axis? Well, kinda. So what can we do? I get rid of this one field. I double click here and let's make this minimum of -1000. Definitely needs to be negative. Now this only works if my field that I'm actually interested in has only positive values. I drag this to the same axis, so we make this a combined axis. And if I change this to line, you can see that Tableau already combines or, well, connects the two measure names. So drag measure names to path, edit the axis, make it fixed. The bottom should be 0, and we can leave the upper end automatic so that it's still automatic. And if I now go to color, I can select markers for every single mark that I have in here. And we can see we have this tiny little bottom bubble at the end. So that's kind of like a lollipop chart. And if I want to make this a bit more prominent, I simply dial up the size. And now it's, I mean, we're getting pretty close to the lollipop chart, and we do have the secondary axis that we can still use. Again, I have my age groups here, and since you all like the color legend, let's use the same one. This is the rainbow color legend, is one of Tableau's default color palettes, so you can all find that. And I want to have these bars sorted by size, descendingly. So we can see we have the different age groups in Great Britain. My mouse is hanging. In Great Britain, the age group 18 to 39, they are by far the most participants, but in Switzerland, we have people who are aged 45 to 49, who are the biggest group of participants within the country. And I want to sort by group of participants within each country. And I can't do that while I have age groups on rows. So what can I do? I can simply duplicate this field, put it to label while keeping Control pressed. And I don't want the percentage here. I want this to be the rank. And I want to make this discrete, and also let's not have it table down. I want this to be per age group. And now I can simply drag this 2 rows and get rid of the age groups because I still have them on color. So you do need them somewhere in the view. And now you can see it's sorted descendingly within each country. And those were my 11 tips. Back over to you, Annabelle.
That was really interesting idea. I really like your tip. So let's go back. Share. Hop. So, tack. Okay, so let's continue a little more for with this London Marathon. Here, what you can also have is when you need a table to give some life to your table. So you can use UTF-8 characters and use it, for instance, to highlight something special. So here I have my, I already calculated, you will see why. So here you have like a special mark calculation that said, if the runner arrived on the top 1000, and if it's belonging to one of his group, yeah, by the way, I'm using 2020.3, so now I have like the in-close calculation. Before you would have write to if age group equals 70 plus, or if age group equals 75 to 79, or if and blah, blah. Now you just have to use this in-close calculation. So if it's like an old person, let's say, an old runner, and if it's finish time on one of the top 1000, it will have like this special character. And if it's on the top 50, otherwise, if it's the top 50, you have a superstar. And otherwise, it has a blank. I really need it because after I will have to create this runner number special with the special mark plus the string calculation for the runner number. I already have it on my view in order to hunt sometimes. And now you see here we have like on the top 50, you have your stars. And after it stops until the first guide arriving on, I think it's more than 70, 75. Let's go if I found it. Yeah, very visually, I found it. So that is something that you could do in order to apply something on your table. Okay, about dashboard cleaning. You can do almost everything from your dashboard cleaning, from your dashboard view. So first you could totally go to format, workbook, and change, okay, I don't want any green line. I don't want my zero line. I don't want it. What I wanted to do, it's like maybe change the color of the background. You can do it also. What you can do also, it's don't go back to your view. If you need to change something, you can change it directly from the view. So you can go to reference line, and you have this box and whisker plots. And if you don't want the red and you want the violet, you can do it from here. And like Heidi mentioned it already, you can also, for instance, this tooltip, it's not done. I don't want to go back to the view. I go back to worksheet, tooltip, and I change it from here. So just in order to hunt sometimes and to have like something that is equivalent from one view to the other one. Something else that I wanted to mention. So now we were changing of data sets very quickly in order to have like something more interesting. And so here it's a volcano data set. So each dot, it's a volcano. And you have the possibility, here I forgot to put the view bar. You have the possibility to calculate the distance between 2 points by using this radial selection. So if I click here, I can see that there is between 2.4.2 miles. And if you would like to change that, you can right-click map option and change the unit to metric, and you will have it in kilometer. I always advise you, depending on your case, especially if you are doing that for stakeholders, maybe you don't want to let them to have the menu on the map in order that they cannot do zoom in, because sometimes they don't know how to do zoom out. So another tip, it's like about formatting. So here you have your superstore calculation. I filter out to have only 2020 values, and I have my sum of sales, which is fine. But maybe I want to update this axis and change it. So of course you can go to format, like you know, and say I want 2 digits for the month, 4 digits for the year, but here it doesn't make sense because it's everything, it's 2020. So maybe you want to have only one letter for the month. So how you do that? Usually you should go to months, you should put it on discrete and everything. No, you can just keep it like this and put 5M, and you have only one letter. Okay, something that is very also asked by my stakeholder is sometimes what they want to do is they want to arrive on this dashboard and have the KPI already set up for the previous month, but have the capacity to change that. How we do that? So first, we need to create a calculation that calculates the previous month automatically. So it just like take the day of today and deduce one month. And the second tip is that you have like to create a parameter, a date parameter here, edit. And what you said that it's a date. You said you can set up the value when the workbook open. And here I would like to have the previous month. And you can also select a list of the months that you would like that you user to use. So I can come back from this value, and you can set also the format. And by doing that, after you just have to have this parameter date to check if it's like the one that it's selected or not. And you have automatic that. So my last one, and I need to drink a little water, sorry. So I take a break on the same time. So so here we have a dashboard. So it's a dashboard, a superstore with the KPIs, the evolution. And what I would like to have is like a little icon for the map to display the map, and a little icon for the bar to display the bar. And how to do that? A way to be able to do that is to using parameter action. So I will show you how I have done this map. It's just an icon. I put the value minimum 1 into size, and I did exactly the same for the bar icon where I put a minimum of 0. And then I create a parameter action. So I create 2 parameter action, one for the map icon that I change the value of my parameter. That is just called change of view, taking the 1 when I click on map, and taking 0 when I click on the icon, the bar icon. I will show you here. I put the value of the parameter to be able to display. When I click on bars, it goes to 0. When I click on maps, it goes to 1. So now what I have to do is just filter out. So I have created a calculated field that just takes the value of the parameter. So if the map, I keep it to 1, I right click, apply to worksheet, select worksheet. I will also select it for the bar icon. And for the bar chart, I will do exactly the contrary. I will exclude, and I will apply exactly the same here for the map icon. Okay, and now when I do that, it's almost done. I click, I have the map, I click, I have the bar. You see, here I have a problem. The title is still here. So how I can read of that? So you have several options. Of course, what you can do, it's like just copy paste first, just remove the title, which is cool. So it's also work, but you don't have a title, and you really want to have a title, right? So what you can use, and you use it a lot, I use it annotate area. I copy paste my title and also the color legend, and you can have your title in a different slightly format. And if for the bar you wanted to have something different, you can totally go there into column. I try to click, I'm not sure because I have, okay, yeah. And you can have your title here. And after just some kind of formatting, you make it bigger, right click, format, your line to the left. Okay, 14, for instance. And you will tell me, yes, Annabelle, but what I would like is like to have it on the left totally. Yeah, why not? You can also comment state in label, right click, show header, and you have your title. That was just one way, and I finish.
All right, then let's see what I can come up with for the big finale. And here we go. All right, so a couple of tips. I'm using a different data source. In this case, we're using World Cup results, and I want to make this a highlight table. So I have the different countries in here, and I want to color by country. Now, if I use just any kind of continuous field, I can simply make this a square, and then that colors perfectly, and it will resize whatever I do automatically. But if I color by a discrete field, that will simply give me a square, and that's not super helpful. Of course, I can try to dabble with the size and get kind of close, but then this happens and it's just awful. So what can I do instead? If I want to color perfectly while using a discrete color, I use a bar chart. So you can see we have the beginnings of the bar here. Double click in here, make this an ad hoc minimum of 1 calculation, and put this one on size. And that is perfectly sized for my use case, and it will resize whatever I do here. Now, a second tip, what if I want to color by 2 or more discrete fields? So I want to combine them. Of course, I could create a combined field, but honestly, that's just one step too many for me. You know me, I'm lazy. So I want to have, for example, the winner set on color as well. But if I simply drag it to color, Tableau will replace, and that's not really what I want. So what can I do instead? I put this winner set to detail, and then click on this little icon and change that to color. And now I have a 2-level color legend. So let's highlight, for example, Brazil winner and Brazil loser. And we can see we have two different colors here, depending on whether Brazil won or lost. And you can do that with any number of fields. Just don't go too crazy. In here, I have a simple table, and I want to also have the opponent goals in here. So let's simply move these in here and let's change them. And you can already see, let's actually, that's not what I wanted. You can see that we have these, format, sorry. You have these two opponents. So for example, Argentina and Germany, and you have the each other's opponent goals in here. So it doesn't really make a lot of sense to have it twice, but I know that if I leave it out, people will be confused. That's just how it goes, right? And I want to color, but I don't necessarily want to color both of these. So let's put measure names on measure values on color, and it will color everything. And that's not what I want. I only want to color the team goals. So I can right click and use separate legends in here. And for now I have separate legends, which doesn't help me much. I still have a color for everything, but I can make everything, for example, black in here. So if I double click on the opponent goals, come on, I can make this a diverging color legend and then make one end black and make the other end black, and then make this a two-step color legend. And you can see everything is black here. So this is kind of how you can mock up conditional formatting. Now, of course, if you want to fill the background, it doesn't really make sense to have this black. So instead, you would probably use white here. Same method, different execution. And that's how you can color individual measures when you're using several of them. All right. In here, I want to know which of these countries have ever won a World Cup. And for that, I already have a calculated field, ever won a final, and I can put that on color, but this is very much in your face. And I just want to have a very subtle hint in here. I don't want to color the bars. So instead I can drag this to rows, but then having this true or false is really not super attractive to me. So I can right click and edit the aliases. And here I can simply make this a blank if it's false. And if it's true, in my case, I simply hit Alt-7, and this gives this little bullet point. And now you can see I have this bullet point for all the teams that ever won a World Cup. I can right-click Format, make this a lot bigger, and maybe color this in orange so that it is a bit more obvious. And then I can change the color of the bars to gray and make this really tiny. And now I simply have this tiny little indicator that tells me, hey, this one is an important bar. And you can use that for any kind of use case. All right, another tip, I do want to get rid of this header label thing. But if I simply right click and hide field labels, that's the name for rows, everything will vanish. And I know that people will be confused because they can't tell the countries apart. So I do want to keep the team in here, but I want to get rid of this ever won a final field. So what I could do is I can right click and edit the calculation and try to simply not have a title here, but then Tableau will not allow me to have an empty name. So I can try putting in a blank, but again, that is recognized as an empty name. So what can I do? I can go to the internet. The internet has a solution for everything. And I go to amp-what.com. And this will give me all kinds of UTF-8 sites. So very, very helpful page. And I search for blank because that's what I want. I want a special character for blank. Simply click here. This will be copied to my clipboard. And if I go back in here, I can put this in the title. And now I have a special character here that is essentially blank, but Tableau doesn't recognize that it's blank. And now I don't have this field name here. Of course, that does make finding the field again a bit difficult, so maybe don't overdo that. And one last tip, all right, and I know we're cutting it close. One last tip, if I add fields to sheets to my dashboard, Tableau will automatically put in these color legends and they will mess up my layout. And I do want them, but I want them later. And I don't want Tableau to just put them anywhere they feel like. So what I can do is I can make this floating. and then go to layout and position this outside of my dashboard by typing that in. And now if I add a new field, a new sheet that has color legends or filters or parameters, they will be added to that floating container outside the dashboard. And I can then later add them in where I want them to be when I want them to be added in here. So that was a whole number of tips. We do have a list here. You probably didn't remember all of them. We are probably happy to share this list later. So many tips. I hope you learned a lot. If you want to find us on social media, reach out to @TheHeidiK to find me on Twitter, and Rincon and Annabelle to find Annabelle. And feel free to share the best tip you learned. Thank you all for your attention, and back to you, Caesar and Emily.
Calling time on you, Heidi. No, it's great. You guys did a wonderful job in the chat. If everybody can go through and, well, this was a tip battle. Let us know. Let us know your thoughts. Let's know who you guys thought took the championship here. No, you guys both did fantastic, and it was wonderful. I personally picked up a lot. There's so much I want to take just to my day-to-day work. It's a lot of fun. There are a couple questions in the Q&A, and I think Heidi and Annabelle, you guys can address those there. One last cool tip, something cool about these two here is not only can they do the tip battle in English, they can also do this in German, and I can't wait to hear that as well. So, ladies, thank you so much for coming on. That was fantastic, and we'll hopefully see more from you in our chat too. So stick around. But now I